Welcome to another episode of the FDT TV podcast. Here's Mike, I am Ian, and let's get cracking with our very first segment, as always, and we are back properly this week with Goal of the Week.
Yeah, back.
I sort of mucked that up a little bit there because I pressed the wrong buttons on my keyboard, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We got there. So round 21, we've both come up, had a look at some goals and come up with some good goals. Most of them are the same. I mean, I went for Salah's first goal. You went for his second. Both were good. I think the assist made the goal on the second one for me, even though it was. Well, we get onto that later. Marcus Alonso for Chelsea, back in the team, and it was an absolute belter, wasn't it? Chest, knee, thump. You can't really beat that. For me, Aziz for Crystal Palace, nice little bit of control on the edge of the box and a low-driven shot with just bags and bags of power. And then Patrick Bamford cutting across, Kasper Schmeichel and smashing it top bins, going over the top of him. That was brilliant. It's brilliant. Was there? Obviously, we mentioned Salah's second. Did you have any others?
No. So they were, as I was watching all the highlights, they were, as I mentioned just before we started the podcast, when I was watching the West Ham Liverpool game, I was like, yeah, his first goal was like, yeah, that's a good goal. Second goal was like, that's a great goal. And then the third goal for Liverpool, I thought was an absolutely brilliant team goal as well. But for me, I think the second one, as you mentioned, it was more the pass, but I think for me it was the control. It was for the lofty ball, left foot, right foot, or right foot onto his left, quick, chinky little.
It was clinical.
Yes,
there was no mistakes in it. It was bish bash bosh, job done.
And Alonso's goal for me as well was just one of those ones where it was like bish bash and then bosh.
Yeah.
Oh, what a goal, cracker.
So obviously with these polls, what we'll do is we're going to let you decide. So go over to our Twitters. We'll both have a poll ongoing for the next few days, certainly into the next round of football, as to who do you think the best goal was from round 21, and we'll be back with the answers next week.
Perfect.
That moves us very swiftly onto our next one. It is one good, one bad. So, Binners, you went first. You played first. I'll hand the keys to the car over to you and I'll let you go.
That was pretty good sound, actually. So, Arsenal versus Manchester United. It was a frustrating game, but also I think one of the more entertaining 0-0 draws I've seen in a while. The one good is that we kept another clean sheet.
Yep.
And we're still undefeated. So we haven't. The last game we lost was in the middle of December against Everton. Mm-hmm. We have been unbeaten in the Premier League since then. So we've picked up 17 points out of a possible 21, which is not bad going considering the start of the season that we did have.
Yep.
We kept another clean sheet, which is again fantastic. The defensive frailties that we have seen previously, granted we have seen a few goals conceded here and there, but it's good to see another clean sheet. So I think for the one good is the clean sheet. The one bad is, and I'm sorry to say this, Willian. Oh my God. Gabriel Martinelli is a player that I've raved about on this channel so much, even in my previews, on the podcast, even going back to last year, I'm raving about how much I love this kid. Mm-hmm. Played the first half, and I think for me personally, he was the player that was trying to charge the balls down to try and get a bit of flow within the team, and trying to make those advanced runs into Manchester United's final third. But at half time, we saw him get substituted. And apparently it was tactical because he said that it wasn't questioning his work rate at all. It just feels that Willian posed that more of a threat than Gabriel Martinelli. I don't get it personally.
Yeah,
because there was a couple of chances that Willian was through. There was one right towards the start of the second half. Ball come over to him on the left-hand side. he couldn't get the ball out of his feet and fluffed it, and it should have been a goal, honestly. I will give Manchester United their dues as well, because they did defend really well as us. And there was a shot that Pepe had right on the edge of the box, ball played right across him, and had the defender not been there sticking his foot out, that would have been a goal. So one good for me, another clean sheet, one bad. Willian needs to be dropped from the team.
Fair enough. I did get rather confused, if I'm honest, why Willian wasn't taken off for Odegaard and it was Emile Smith-Rowe. For me, it should have been the other way around. I think Willian should have come off and Odegaard come on, and maybe push Emile Smith-Rowe out wide. A bit of a lacklustre game, really, but you take a point at the end of the day. Manchester United sort of high flying, and not the worst result, is it? It's not the worst result.
No, and I did say that in my preview. I did say that going into the game, I would prefer a win. Obviously, who wouldn't? But I wouldn't be too sad with the draw. So to come away, as you said, Manchester United just come off the back of a 2-1 loss against Sheffield. So I was expecting them to be up for the game. And obviously with a few injuries that we've had, or a few absentees, it did make the game kind of swing more in to United being the favourites. So I'll come away with a clean sheet and a draw. I'll take that. Again, especially with the run that we've been on up until we lost against Everton. So, yeah.
Fair enough. So for ours, we obviously played Liverpool. I was hoping, obviously, with the defensive frailties of Liverpool at the moment, playing Nat Phillips and Jordan Henderson, we would have come away with a result. But we respected Liverpool far too much and just sat back and let them attack us. The second... I summed this up a little bit in my preview for Aston Villa. The second half of the second half, so that final quarter of the game, we were tenacious. We ran at Liverpool, we attacked them, we fought for every ball, we scored a goal, and we looked the better team. If we'd done that from minute 0, I think we would have come away with a result. So the bad for me is the fact we didn't push that Liverpool team and try and assert ourselves straight from kickoff. The one good, we did get a goal in the end, another goal for Craig Dawson. Bit of a consolation, but it's another game where we scored and we're still up the right end of the table. So, realistically, when we started the season, you look at this fixture, Liverpool should have won. They did win, so you can't be too disheartened, but it's just a case of, right, let's pick up and go again and hopefully push on with a more positive result for the next one. So that's my one good, one bad.
I've just got a question for you on that particular game. One that we was expecting, I think West Ham to have more of a go of that. And you did mention it obviously in your preview show, and obviously just then about with the run that they've been on recently. Do you think that they've now gone to we know we're going to concede goals, so we've now got to try and outscore the opponent's attitude, like Brendan Rodgers era Liverpool with the SAS? Or do you reckon that was just, again, just going back to what you just said about just paying them a little bit too much respect?
I do think that they certainly know they're going to concede goals. With the amount of defensive injuries they've got, it would be silly to say we're going to keep a clean sheet every week, providing they can be competitive. I do think Nat Phillips filled in well, especially that first corner we put short on. That was fucking awful, rather than put it in the box and challenge with a height. When we did eventually start doing that, it was him that was clearing them. So he did well. That's quite promising for Liverpool as bringing through youth academies players. But yeah, for me, I think we just gave them far too much respect and gone, we know they're dangerous. Mane wasn't playing. Firmino wasn't starting. We should have gone, right, we're going to challenge you for every ball and we're going to push you as hard as we can. I know games are coming thick and fast again, and we've had more midweek games now than I think we've ever had. But they've had an extra 2 days off, West Ham, so why not challenge them? Even if you have to make 3 substitutes to players you wouldn't normally substitute. But I think we just sat back too much in that thing of, but they're aggressive and clinical on the counter. Well, yeah, they are, but You've still got to challenge them. You've still got to push for second balls and say put balls over the top. There was sometimes instead of having one big ball, it was like, oh, well, we'll put 3 passes in and then try a ball over the top. It's like by that point, they've already brought their shape back. Frustrating.
Yeah, I think Antonio was lucky as well, but I think had for his first shot at the game where he hit it just wide.
Yeah,
I think he was. I think with the fine margins that it was going past the post, had he had that more accurate, I think the defender would have got that opportunity. Anyway, it was unlucky. I mean,
I think it was just one of those games. Ben Rama was getting more shots on, but the 2 that he had that were on target were actually blocked by West Ham players in the box. So it was just one of those days where it just didn't work. They were better on the day, so fair play, they won. It's what it is. It's a game, and you've got to pick up and go again.
Yeah.
Can't let it hinder. Right, moving on very swiftly. We shall go for what shall we go for? Well, we've had goal of the week. We've had one good, one bad. So the next intro is actually yours.
And we haven't done this for a while, so.
La 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 la. You got to warm up.
VAR! Bloody VAR! Bloody VAR bastard! VAR!
VAR. There's less and less media attention on the amount of muck-ups, but I think that's because not as many things are being looked at.
Yep.
The reason I say that is, yes, there was a big one for handball, wasn't there, in one of the games? That was a handball that wasn't given. But also, in the West Ham Liverpool game alone, Liverpool handballed the ball clearly 6 times. The referee caught it once, but VAR didn't look at any of them. And you're like, well, why not? Okay,
Liverpool.
Yeah, but they didn't. I will say they didn't lead to goals, the handballs, but they did lead to turnovers of possession. So you think that should be looked at and pulled back and gone, no, actually, that was a clear handball. And the amount of it that was going on, the worst one was Thiago. He did it 3 times in about a minute and a half. And you're like, well, what's he doing? He's fouling people. He's handballing it. You've only picked up 1 handball that he's done in the last. And it was just very frustrating. The fact that you think, why is it not being looked at retrospectively? If the ref can't catch it because of the speed of the game, VAR should pick it up.
Yeah, and this was one of the things that I wanted to bring up about the Arsenal West Ham game, is that I can't remember who it was that got booked. Sorry, 2 seconds. There was an Arsenal player that got booked for a bit of a nutty diving in challenge, but it wasn't that bad, if that makes sense. And even the commentators did say, "Oh, I don't think that's a red card offence." But what had happened?
What game you talking about? Arsenal West Ham?
No, Arsenal Man U.
Arsenal Man U.
Oh, Cedric. That was it. It was Cedric. There was a bit of a scuffle with him and Fernandez, and ultimately Cedric got booked. Now, there was another challenge where Fernandez had gone right through the back of Granit Xhaka. Yeah. And I'm talking, that's his leg. And he's gone through.
Yes, I see that. Yeah, I did see that one. Yeah,
nothing happened on that. And that, I mean, Granit Xhaka. I think I'm pretty sure it was Granit Xhaka, but he didn't make too much of a meal of it. They both, or he kind of got up afterwards after the foul. They kind of like did the whole kind of handshake sort of thing. So I don't know whether it was as bad as what it looked slowed down, but for the fact that it wasn't even looked at, and you can guarantee had that been the other way around,
oh yeah, it would have been looked at.
That would have been a sending off.
Yeah. What do you think? Like last time we played, didn't we? We played Liverpool. Masuaku got sent off for kicking, or they got a penalty, and he got a yellow card for kicking Salah. Yeah. 2 weeks later, he got kicked to nothing. What there was on Twitter, which I did find very amusing, was West Ham fans were playing Salah dive bingo. And he did. The first one he did, he controlled the ball. The player who was marking him. It was a good control, actually. It hit his chest, and then he sort of toe poked it 2 steps away from him, so lost control, at which point he threw himself backwards, arms flailing, and the ref just went, get up. Yeah, you're like, if you're telling him to get up, you need to book him, because it's either a blatant foul or he's dived, but nothing. But yeah, the Salah dive bingo, it did make me laugh, so I hope that more people can actually join in on that, because it's guaranteed to happen at least once a game.
Oh mate, I'm actually looking forward to that. I might have a look at that one on Twitter.
You've got to guess the minute.
Oh,
that's
right,
what it is.
okay.
So it's sort of like you put your minute as to when you think it's going to be. Oh right. Have you got any more? Have you got anything good to say about VAR this week? Because we do sometimes have good things to say.
No,
that's fine. So we'll move on to the predictions, and we're zipping through this week, but that's all right, because last week's was really long. This week's might be a little bit shorter. Who knows? Right, but we do have a very special game coming up, and I have tried something here, and I don't know if it will work, so bear with me. And that is the Super Bowl.
That was a good one.
I don't know if it worked properly. I will only find out in post. But you said it works. Hey ho. The Super Bowl is coming up on Sunday. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's Americans call it football, but it's throw the ball, not with your feet.
Egg chasing.
Yeah.
Much better than rugby.
Kansas City Chiefs versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Some would argue it's the greatest of all time, Tom Brady versus sort of his replacement in the league, Patrick Mahomes. So, we're going to go for an extra point. I've gone for the Kansas City Chiefs. I think you've gone the other side of the coin.
Yes.
Just keep it interesting.
Purely because of absolutely. I don't know too much about the Super Bowl this year. I haven't really been keeping on top of it. To be honest, it's just been far more entertaining watching all of the super ridiculous amounts of football we're seeing at the moment, with it coming daily. Up until like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night sometimes. So unfortunately I haven't been keeping on top of it this year. The NHL has just started, as you know. That is one of my other sports. Just started a couple of weeks ago, so I've been trying to keep on top of that as well. But I do like American football. The Giants are my team. I have my jersey sitting in the other room.
I've got a Giants jersey too.
There we go. I've got a Dolphins one as well.
I follow players more than I follow teams, if I'm honest, because I'm not watching it week in, week out. It's like I like certain players and what they do, and I follow them and look at the highlights. So,
well, the Dolphins were for me because it was the first NFL team that I was used to from Ace Ventura. But once I started getting into the NFL, the Giants, I don't know how or why they became my team, but they did become my team.
Yeah.
So, so in terms of this prediction, just to make it more interesting, as you say, I have gone for the Buccaneers and you have gone for the Chiefs. So bonus points looming for next week.
Yes.
This Sunday.
So before we make more predictions, obviously, if you want to make predictions along with us, that's fantastic. Leave them in the comments. Get us on Twitter. However you want to do it, like, let us know. We want more people getting involved. But what were the score updates from last week?
Okay, so we have 4 games that we predicted last week: Palace versus West Ham, Southampton versus Arsenal, Manchester United, and then West Ham versus Liverpool.
Yeah.
So for the Palace West Ham game, you had a 3-1 win to West Ham. I had a draw for 2-2. West Ham won 3-2, so you get the point.
Yep.
Southampton versus Arsenal, you had us down for a 1-1 draw. I had us down for a 2-1 win. It was 3-1, a comfortable 3-1 win. So a point for both of us.
Mm-hmm.
Arsenal Manchester United, you had a 3-1 win to Man United. I had 2-1 to Arsenal. It was a 0-0 draw, so no points there. On West Ham versus Liverpool, you had it down as a 2-2 draw. I had West Ham for a 2-1 win based on their current form. It was 3-1 win to West Ham, so no points to either of us.
4 weeks.
So that brings that week's totals to 2 points to you,
Woohoo!
1 point to me, and so the season totals 36 points to Ian, 40 points to Mike. So I'm still just in the lead.
I'm
there was a
catching,
10-point. Yes, there was a 10-point gap not too long ago, which has slowly been diminished. So I need to up my game this week, which then leads us on to this week's predictions. So we have tomorrow, Arsenal versus Wolves, or Arsenal travel to Wolves. Good shot, by the way. I felt that one over here knocked me off the chair a little bit. So I'll go. Wolves are on a bit of a torrid. Are having a bit of a torrid time at the moment. They haven't won since the middle of December. So just as roughly we picked up our form, their form has been a bit shocking.
Yep.
So they picked up a couple of draws, mainly losses. We're coming into this in a great run of form. Like I said, 17 points out of a possible 21. However, we don't really travel well. We've travelled better recently than we have done. We've got a few people that had been sidelined due to injuries. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is now back in full training. If you want to go see my prediction, it is now live on the channel. So go check it out and see my thoughts on that one. Sorry, 2 secs.
No problem.
Yeah, so sorry about that technical difficulty. I do apologise. So my preview is now live, but I am going to go for an Arsenal 3-1 win. Sorry, that's where I was. I was just about to say we have people that have been signed on through injuries. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is now back into the squad after sorting out his personal family issues. So yeah, I'm going to put Arsenal down for a 3-1 win against Wolves on their current form.
Ooh, I've gone 2-0 to Arsenal for the fact that they sold Jota, didn't they? Which has had an effect. And since Jimenez has been injured, that hopefully David Luiz won't headbutt somebody else in this game. But yeah, since they've lost him, they've seemed to have lost that attacking spark. So for me, I'm going 2-0 to Arsenal.
Okay. Next brings us on to Aston Villa versus West Ham.
Yes, Aston Villa versus West Ham. Battle of the Claret and Blue. We are away to Villa. I do think that the team will be raring to get back onto track, so to speak, or back on track. Villa have got some goals in them, though. Here's the thing. There's been a number of backwards and forwards between some Villa fans and West Ham fans. I got involved trying to have a sensible conversation and say, because Villa fans seem to deny or defend the undefendable, which is fine. You're passionate about your team, I get that. But the way that some of them go about it, there was one bloke that was just sort of swearing at everyone who differed to his opinion. His Twitter account got blocked when I went to look back at what he was saying to different people. So good. But yeah, I do think it'll be an entertaining game, especially for the neutral, because we've got goals in them, so have they. I think it's very evenly matched. So I've gone for 2-2.
I've got to be honest, mate. I've gone for exactly the same scoreline. I don't think there's much. There is much more that can be said on that one. I know Emi Martinez, they obviously left us to join Aston Villa early on in the season, the start of the season. I think it's been a great acquisition for them. I've been a bit hit and miss fairly recently in terms of results, but yeah, I think it's going to be a closely contested game, and I'm going to go for 2-2 as well.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So the next game is Arsenal away to Aston Villa as well. We're going to show you how it's done. No, I'm only joking. Just on the basis that we've, like I said, we've hit, I think it's like 7 clean sheets or 8 clean sheets or something this season. We've had a fairly good one recently. For the players that miss the game tomorrow, I think will be reintegrated into the squad for that fixture. I think we actually got beaten by Aston Villa the last time we played them. We had a bit of I think that was towards the start of our torrid spell. So, but just on recent form, we've been getting goals as well as keeping clean sheets. I don't think we'll keep a clean sheet against Aston Villa, but I do think we'll make it more of a contest. I'm going to go for Aston Villa 1, Arsenal 2.
Ooh, I think you've summed that up very well. I've gone for a 1-1 draw there. Again, I think there's goals in them. I think there's goals in you. You can see that from some of the quality of play, just been unlucky in the final third. But I do think that your clean sheet's going to come to an end. 1-1. 1-1. Leads us on to the last game. It's Fulham versus West Ham. Now, the last game was a lot closer than what I would have liked when we played Fulham. But we're in a rich vein of form, or have been, barring the last result. I think we're going to absolutely smash Fulham here. They seem to have a little peak, didn't they? And play well, and now it's dropped off again. So I've gone 3-0 West Ham.
I'll tell you what, mate, we're not too for this fixture, or for this week, in fact. I have gone for 3-1. And like you said, they have, or they had hit a bit of a form. I do think that West Ham will bounce back to winning ways. If you don't against Aston Villa, I definitely see you winning this game quite comfortably.
Yeah,
I think possibly you will concede from some, I don't know, like fluky deflection or give away a stupid penalty or something. But yeah, I'll go 3-1.
Fair enough. There's not too dissimilar at all. And that leads us on to a very nice section, which it will be the last one of this season. And that is transfers and updates. I've just had a quick look. I've seen that Joe Willock has agreed to join Newcastle for the rest of the season on loan. There's been rumours about Maitland-Niles going up to
West Brom.
That's the one I was looking for. Is there any more potential ins coming in for Arsenal this year?
I don't, unless something comes out completely left field. I know about possibly getting covering for Kieran Tierney in the left back position. We've seen Sead Kolasinac move on to Schalke on loan for the remainder of the season. We have strengthened in the creative midfielder position, which was a position we were kind of crying out for with Martin Odegaard.
Yep.
And there was talks about possibly some guy from Hibs or Ryan Bertrand from Southampton was one that was discussed because he's coming towards the end of his contract with Southampton, and also Patrick Van Aanholt from Crystal Palace. But unless something drastically changes between now and 11 o'clock, we've got 3 hours. I don't think it's within the realms of an impossibility, but I think it's stretching on too late to possibly get any ins. But in terms of outs, well, there's been quite a few departures. Obviously, we've seen Mesut Ozil go with his contract terminated. Who else? Socrates has joined Olympiacos, I think.
Yep.
And there's also talks today. It was leaked that apparently Squadran Mustafi is likely to be off the books as well, with joining Schalke as well, being reunited with Sead Kolasinac. It hasn't officially broke yet, but we have been led to believe that terms have been agreed with Schalke and that the contract will be terminated by mutual consent. His contract was up at the end of in 6 months anyway, and I think that whilst we are losing out on money in terms of transfer fees, we're potentially freeing up 100 grand a week off of the wage bill. We had too many players, so yeah, I think that's going to be it for us. I'll be very surprised, put it that way, if we see any ins.
I see the king of the transfer window being Harry Redknapp, wheeling and dealing, although he didn't like to put it like that. So out of 10 Harry Redknapps, what would you rate your transfer window as? 1 being bad, 10 being the best.
I think 7 Harry Redknaps.
7 Harry Redknaps. You've heard it here first,
the reason why I say that is because whilst we haven't seen that many ins, I think we strengthened correctly in the summer in terms of signing Pablo Mari. So we had some issues in the defence. We had Pablo on a very small budget, and we've seen what he can do. Granted, he's coming back from injury.
Yep.
Cedric Suarez, again on a free from Southampton, again has been outstanding in his last couple of games. So I think we've done well there. We had Thomas Partey was the Patrick Vieira type figure that we've been crying out for a while.
Mm-hmm.
We got him. The issues with Mesut Ozil, obviously, they couldn't be resolved, so off he went. And now we've got Emile Smith-Rowe filling that position and filling that well. But obviously, he's only a young lad. I think I heard the other day that he's only 20 years old, and therefore will need backup because he's not going to be able to play every other game. Hence why we've gone in for Martin Odegaard.
Yeah.
Now, I did mention last week about him possibly being in for the 6 months, and then that was going to be it.
Yeah.
That we wouldn't see him again. I did, however, hear today that there is the possibility that we may be able to sign him on a permanent after the end of this season.
Okay.
He's on fairly low wages. I think he's on around about 38 grand a week.
Right.
He's a fairly young player.
Yeah.
And is not too dissimilar to the wages of Emile Smith-Rowe, Bukayo Saka. I know Smith-Rowe, I think he's due to sign a new contract fairly shortly. So that may be a possibility. Obviously, we don't know. We have got him on a loan basis. We'll see how he does over the next 6 months, because we could end up with another. I can't remember the Spanish guy that we got from Barcelona a couple of years ago. Ended up injuring his bank, but
yes.
Well, we could end up with another one of those situations. So I mean, we'll see how it goes. Well, we haven't really seen much of him. I think he came on for about 10 minutes against Manchester United, so didn't really have a time to impact the game. So I have put him in for my starting lineup for tomorrow against Wolves. We'll see what happens. It may be another second half substitution that we see, but I am interested to see what he can do. Yep. What about West Ham? Do you see much happening in the remainder?
I can't say, no, unless we can sign a last-minute striker, which I think is unlikely. Josh King still being banded around. I know that if Bournemouth don't sell him now, then he's out of contract in the summer. So he will leave on a free, so it just depends on how desperate they are. I mean, for his form this year, I wouldn't pay a penny for him, if I'm honest. It would give us a bit of cover up front, but is it another one where we're going to get it wrong? I don't know. What I would say is we got rid of Sebastian Haller. So that move on its own, out of 10 Harry Redknaps, that gets 15.5 Harry Redknaps. Just for that move of admitting they're wrong and shifting him on for a fee. We have brought in Jesse Lingard. And I'm a bit mixed about it because I'm excited that we've brought him in because we know he can score goals, we know he can make assists, and he can be creative and quite exciting to watch. The bit that frustrates me is the amount we've paid for him, and that's not the player's problem because that's what his wages and the fees for Manchester United. It's close to £4 million for 4 months. And for me, I would much rather that be spent on like the infrastructure of the club and the academy. I know David Moyes is trying to build a scouting network past Golden Sullivan's one scout. I think he will be hard to do that, but he seems to be working hard to get that done. And he's also trying to sign younger players to complement the academy and to help boost that in the coming years. So when you look at the things he's saying and what he's coming out with, he's looking long term. So hopefully we can stick with David Moyes. I mean, especially at the moment, he's doing fantastically. But give him a good contract and we'll see a manager be there for the next 6-7 years and really make an impact and a statement at the club. Mm-hmm. Winston Reid's gone out on loan to Brentford today. I think that's going to be the end of his West Ham career. He's been out. I think he's been out at Kansas City actually. In the MLS.
I when that come up earlier, and I saw a picture of him in a West Ham kit. I forgot he even played for you guys.
Yeah, it's been a while. I think his last game was our last game at Upton Park.
Jesus
I think.
Christ. I did not realise
I said this.
in the books.
Yes, I said that. I mean, he was on a big contract. He was playing really well. He scored in that game. Scored the winner. But say he had a couple of really bad injuries, and one of them put him out for a whole calendar year, and then he went out on loan. I think it was a 2-year loan, I want to say. But yeah, I think at the end of the season he's out of contract. So, I wish him all the best because he's been a great servant for us. It's just unfortunate it's not worked out in recent years. Who was the other one that went out? Elise, one of our young defenders. He's gone out to a championship club. Bit of game time under the belt was not going to hurt anybody. Hopefully next year we'll see him floating in and around the first team. But we've had quite a good window. I'm quite positive.
But you know, there is one player that I think should have gone out on loan. Personally,
go on.
I know we've seen Joe Willock, obviously, as you mentioned earlier, but there's 2 players for me. But again, obviously, we don't want to leave ourselves too short. Eddie Nketiah, is one for me. To be honest, I don't know what the issue with him is, and I mean this with the greatest respect. Obviously, he's the England under-21s top goal scorer. But as soon as it comes to putting on the Arsenal shirt, he just can't seem to hit any form. I know he scored a couple of crucial goals for us, so I don't want to bash on him too hard because he obviously can score goals. He knows where they are. But I think there's an undue pressure on him when he comes to playing on his own at the top for us. I just don't think he's suited for that position. And I think he needs to beef up a bit and also get some more game time because the way Lacazette's been playing recently, he's been brilliant. Obviously, Aubameyang can fill that position once he's back into the team. And dare I say it, I think Martinelli is a more well-rounded player than Nketiah, and I think will get more goals if he was to play in that position. So he's one I would have sent out on loan for some more game time. And the other one is Reece Nelson. Again, I don't want to bash on him because he is a young player. Has come up with a couple of good performances and got us a couple of goals, I believe, in the Europa League. But again, he's a player as soon as he seems to hit the first team in the Premier League, he seems to go missing. And I think, again, he needs game time. I'm not saying there's no future at the club for either of them. They're both still young, but I think they need to get some minutes under their belt, possibly drop down to the Championship. There's no shame in it. And it's good experience for him. So personally, those are the 2 I would have sent out, as well as Joe Willock. And
I think you hit the nail on the head there. Playing that role on his own, it's a very hard role to play, and it helps if you've got a physical presence. And I think Nketiah would be better suited to playing in a partnership with a big man. So maybe sending him to Newcastle at the same time if they were interested would have been an idea because he's going with a teammate. So they know Callum Wilson, they need a striking partner for him. It would have fitted in quite nicely. I know we were after him as a backup, but again, do you want to move from being a backup to being a backup? Probably not. Didn't really fit the bill for us either because it's playing that similar role to what you need played at Arsenal, the lone striker. So interesting. I do think he will flourish. I don't think that will be at Arsenal. I think he's one of those who wants to try and prove that he can do it. And I think, unfortunately for him, he will go the same way as Cole Jenkinson. Of that, getting a few minutes here and there, you get a few starts, but you try so hard to impress with the little time that you're given that you muck it up a little bit rather than playing the simple balls and doing the simple things right. And I think, unfortunately, that's just the curse of playing for a big club, isn't it? You got to produce straight away, or that's it.
Yeah, I agree. But there's still just less than 3 hours to go now.
Yeah, so there's still time for movement.
And we will see what happens, and I'm sure we'll finalise this season's transfers in the following podcast next week.
Yeah. Have you got any other business this week?
Any other business? No, I don't think I have.
I have heard that Thomas Tuchel has been sacked.
Okay, good.
That way, that's practice for December. Thought I'd get it in now. So you heard it here first officially.
Remember the date.
Remember the date. 1st of February. We announced it a little bit early, but it will happen. I can guarantee you that. Yeah, so we are FDT TV. Hope you've enjoyed. As always, I'm Ian.
I'm Mike.
He's Mike. And yeah, get in touch. Let us know. Until then, we will see you next week.
Cheers, guys.